and what
Ms.
the court
Murshid,
has
the
said and
International
decided.
Crimes Tribunal's verdict is also being seen as blatantly prejudiced. Some are even calling it travesty of justice.
I understand. I have no objection to the questions you ask because, of course, you would like to understand. Travesty of justice. Now, there is a saying in my language. I don't know how much Bangla you understand. Bhuter mukhe ram nam. Do you understand? Someone who has flouted every law in the book and has, uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, committed such heinous injustice and crimes, for her to say that is almost laughable. But however, everyone has a right to fair trial. Now, she has the right to appeal. For that, she needs to come here and she needs to face the courts. Now, is she willing to do that? I'd like to ask you that question. Ask her to come and appeal. And I believe our court will welcome it and our people will welcome it. It's not a question of um, whether she's guilty or not. The guilt is so profoundly out there. It has been evidenced, studied, surveyed. Information has been gathered by both international and national agencies. And of course, I was out there in the street. People fell dead next to me, shot by the police, fired by the helicopter. These were not imaginations. Somebody has to take responsibility for those actions. And who takes that responsibility? The power of the moment. She was in power. And how did it happen that her police opened, a fire on young boys and girls, and who were actually having a very normal protest, campaign? And what was the protest all about? Quota. Why? Because they wanted an equal opportunity to compete for government positions, and because uh, the quota was so highly politicized that only cadres and political cadres were getting into the government.
Ms. Murshid, my question then would be with regards to extradition, which has been demanded by the Yunus government. How do you see the diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh in the backdrop of this?
Well, India has already made its decisions clear to us that they will not do anything to send her to Bangladesh, and um, and I would think, of course, the people want her back, and they want her to face the courts. But I would think that this will all depend on, we have a relationship with India, we have a policy, we have an agreement that we would share in such conditions that we would extradite, as you say. But India has already made its position clear. Now, in those circumstances, we're not going to push it and demand India. We will say, send her back, let her face the trial. But if India doesn't do it, then that makes India's relationship with Bangladesh strained. And I think this is where India must sensitively evaluate its relationship with Bangladesh. Please take note that we had a very long standing relationship with India. And I think there was great empathy. There was great, cooperations and uh, understanding to a point. But when it came to this particular government, I think India failed to understand the, how shall I say, the emotion of our people, the historical challenges that we were facing and we were taking. Look at the elections. Look at the elections of 2014. Look at the elections of 2018. Look at the elections of 2024. India didn't observe them. The 2014 election was actually, approved by India. Whereas, before I took up this responsibility, I was an election observer. And where 50% of the parliament gets into the 50% of the Awami League members gets into the parliament without an election can never be called a rightful process. 2018, the elections happened in the middle of the night. India didn't condemn it. We always thought India to be one of the greatest democratic nations in the world. But India never supported